You stand in a cathedral as the candles flicker like frightened stars, and the air tastes of iron, dust, and forgotten prayers. Beneath the stone floor lies a king, a man who once carried the fate of kingdoms in his clenched fist. William the Conqueror. The warlord who reshaped England with fire and fear. Yet now, his tomb is not a monument of glory, but a warning carved into bone and rot. You watch the procession unfold centuries ago, monks in trembling silence, nobles with lowered eyes, the air thick with incense and dread. For this is not the burial of a saint. It is the uneasy surrender of a tyrant to the soil he once ruled. Outside, peasants whisper curses, nobles offer prayers not for his soul, but for protection from it. And when his body is forced into a coffin too small, you hear it. A sound you cannot unhear. Flesh rupturing. Gas bursting from a corpse swollen with death's final mockery. The church fills with a stench so foul that nobles retch and collapse to the floor. This is not divine glory. This is power stripped bare, kingship reduced to decay. But the horror did not end there. For centuries, his peace would be violated again and again, dragged, scattered, broken, burned, and forgotten piece by piece, as if history itself refused to let him sleep. Power ends in dust, and dust remembers everything. This is where the crown loses its shine, where kings meet truth. You begin not in Westminster, but in the salt-bitten winds of Normandy. Before the crown, before the terror, before the legends, William was merely the bastard son of a duke. A child whispered about in courtyards and mocked in noble halls. In your hands lies a world that tells you do not belong, yet every insult sharpens you like flint to steel. You watch young William, alone but unbroken, gripping his horse's reins as assassins stalk the night. His guardians butchered. His caretakers murdered in their sleep. Every ride outside the castle walls could be his last. You see a boy transform into a blade, a mind forged by betrayal and haunted by the knowledge that love and loyalty are luxuries given only to the legitimate. He becomes a warrior because he must. He becomes ruthless because mercy is a door to death. He does not learn kingship. He learns survival with iron and fire. When Normandy rises against him, he crushes it. When rivals challenge him, he hunts them like wolves. His destiny is not inherited, it is seized, dripping in the blood of those who believed he would fall. And yet, as you stand beside him in the smoke-choked air of battlefields, you feel the hollowness beneath his triumph. Power has shaped him, but it has also scarred him. His victories build a throne, but they also build a prison around his heart. Fear builds kingdoms. Fear destroys kings. Every rise begins with a wound. Now you stand on the cliffs of Hastings in 1066. The wind is cold, unforgiving, like fate itself. You smell salt, sweat, iron, and the thick copper breath of war. England lies before you, trembling, uncertain, rich, and desperate. Harold Godwin's son stands between William and the crown, and the earth waits to drink from both. Arrows pierce the sky, horses scream, and shield walls crack like bones beneath pressure. You witness not glory, but desperation. Men do not fight for honor. They fight for breath. The ground turns black with blood. Harold falls, and the breath of thousands leaves the world at once. You walk with William through the aftermath. Corpses lie like broken prayers. The once green hills run red. The throne of England is bought not with lineage, but with ruin. William enters London not as savior, but as conqueror. Churches are seized. Lands confiscated. Noble families broken like brittle twigs. He builds his rule on terror, the Tower of London rising not as a monument, but as a warning. And yet, in his silence at night, you feel the tremor beneath his armor. Power demands fear. But fear breeds ghosts. And ghosts never rest. A kingdom born in blood remembers the taste. Victory is a crown of thorns, you bleed as you wear it. You stand beside a king who has won everything, and yet lost the one thing he cannot command: peace. William now wears England like armor plated over old wounds. Every decision, every decree, every tax is sharpened with paranoia. He did not inherit this kingdom. He tore it from the hands of its people, and they never forget. You watch him survey his new subjects. Their eyes lower, not out of respect, but out of fear and bitterness. He sees rebellion in every field, treason in every village prayer. A king without trust is a king surrounded by shadows. When the North rebels, he responds not like a ruler, but like a vengeance-struck god. Monasteries burned. Villages starved. The soil salted, turning fertile land into graveyard earth. You feel winter settle like a curse. The English call it the harrying, a cleansing by famine and fire. A policy meant to break spirit, break lineage, break hope. You stand in a silent field where nothing grows and hear mothers weep over children who never saw spring again. William turns his face away, but he hears them too. Power has carved a crown on his brow and a burden on his soul. What began as a struggle for legitimacy is now a war against ghosts, and ghosts do not kneel. You can conquer land, but not hearts. The sword wins kingdoms. It does not keep them. His victories pile like stones on his chest. Castles rise like iron teeth. The Tower of London cuts the sky. England is reshaped by force, law rewritten, nobles replaced, language transformed. But in his throne room, William sits heavier each year, his breath thick, his face drawn with dread that power cannot ease. You see the king as few do, aging not like a man, but like a war horse driven too long in battle. His body swells under weight, his gait slows, and pain creeps through him like winter frost. He who once rode commands now struggles for breath. Scholars whisper he fears God's judgment, because no conqueror exits history clean. And at night, alone, he prays not for glory, but forgiveness. He has built nations, yes. But he has buried thousands. Even his sons circle him like wolves. Ambition runs in royal blood like poison, and a kingdom carved in violence breeds heirs thirsty for power. Thrones are lonely places. Even sons become strangers. Victory brings crown, and consequence. And then, fate. Not in battle with swords drawn, but in humiliation. In Rouen, William suffers a wound not from blade or spear, but from his own body. A riding accident. A broken abdomen. Internal decay begins its quiet work. The king who shattered armies is undone by a saddle horn and time's slow cruelty. You watch as he lies upon his deathbed, the smell of sickness hanging over the chamber heavy as guilt. Priests murmur prayers. Servants whisper in corners. The conqueror's breath comes ragged, each exhale a confession no one hears. He remembers the screams in the north, the burning abbeys, the blood of kings he dethroned. You feel the terror under his skin, not of death, but judgment. The crown feels like iron thorns now. His sons do not rush to comfort him. They rush to secure power. The moment his breath stops, nobles strip the royal palace of valuables like scavengers at a feast. Servants flee with silver and silk. The once mighty king lies abandoned, his body cooling in a room emptied of loyalty. And his corpse swells. Gas gathers. Flesh stretches. The great William, conqueror of nations, becomes vulnerable to the simplest truth of mortality. No body can escape the earth's hunger. Even kings rot. History bows for no one, not even its legends. Now you stand in a cathedral filled with sickness and fear. The procession is chaotic, rushed, reluctant. The city is burning from a fire started days earlier, a fitting omen. Horses panic in the streets. Smoke seeps beneath holy doors. The world looks as though heaven itself disapproves. William's body arrives swollen from decay. Priests try to prepare him, but time has already claimed its debt. His coffin, too small, becomes his final humiliation. When they try to force him inside, the unthinkable happens. A rupture. A sound like tearing meat. A stench so overwhelming the congregation staggers backward, choking, retching, gagging. Nobles collapse to their knees, covering faces. Incense cannot mask it. Prayers cannot drown it. The king who once commanded armies now empties into his own grave, flesh refusing to obey even in death. The funeral becomes chaos. Some flee the church. Others weep, not from grief but from horror. It is as though his sins, his ambitions, his violence have all risen with him and burst into the air. William the Conqueror, once feared by nations, is reduced to a caution whispered by trembling lips. No throne follows you into the grave. Power ends where decay begins. For most men, humiliation ends in death. But not William. The earth would not hold him. His tomb is disturbed again and again across centuries. Desecrated during wars. Bones scattered by soldiers. Coffin broken by mobs. Monastery destroyed. His remains reduced to fragments. Lost, stolen, burned. Only a single thigh bone survives. A king once feared by nations, now reduced to a fragment in a small box beneath a church floor in Caen, France. His name carved in stone above it, not in gold, but in quiet resignation. You kneel beside that relic of a once terrible ruler and realize. He conquered kingdoms, yet could not conquer time. His legacy lives, yes. But so does his reminder. Every tyrant meets dust. Every crown lies in soil. History unbuilds the mighty. Nothing immortalizes pride, only humility survives. Close your eyes and listen. Do you hear it? The whisper beneath stone, beneath soil, beneath every monument built to power. You will be judged not by how high you rose, but by how you treated those beneath you. William shaped nations, but he also scarred them. His victories echo in language, law, castles, and lineage. But so do his cruelties, in famine fields, burned villages, broken prayers. Power earned through fear rots quickly. Power built on justice endures. In our world, leaders still believe conquest creates legacy. They forget that dust guards memory better than marble, and the oppressed remember longest. Every tyrant eventually learns what William learned too late. The earth does not kneel. The grave does not flatter. And history never forgets. Ask yourself, when your legacy whispers after you, what will it say? The dead do not rest, they teach. If you carried a crown high enough to command nations, would you choose fear or mercy? Tell me in the comments. I read every reflection. And remember, silent wanderer, history is not dead. It waits and it warns. Subscribe to walk deeper into the shadows. And never forget what power can do to a soul.